And we are live.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is December 17th, 2020, and this is our weekly Police Accountability Board meeting. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And we're going to go to our first item, which is taking a look at our review and approving our minutes from last meeting. So Connor, can you please go ahead and put up the minutes?
Sure. Just a reminder, these minutes are extremely brief because, we didn't end up having a quorum to do a lot of things. So it's very straightforward. Excuse me, that should be.
Let's see.
No.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty subtle.
So I make a motion that we accept the minutes from December 12th as is, if no one has any corrections.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes for December 10th, 2020? Raise your hand, please, or some sort of. Okay. All right. All opposed? Because I'm not seeing many hands. So is anybody opposed to not approving these minutes? Bob? I think your screen is frozen. I just want to make sure
it's not frozen. I just was lagging behind the rest of you all.
Okay.
But
do you want to see the minutes again?
No, it's fine.
Oh.
Okay. So you're in approval of the minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All righty. Okay. So minutes are approved. All right. And then the next item on our agenda is to welcome Arlene Brown, our newest addition to the Police Accountability Board. We're so excited to have you join us. So just wanted to go ahead, please, and introduce yourself to the public.
Great evening. I'm really happy to be here. I'm very excited and have great expectations for the board and all that we can do to help in the community. Thank you for welcoming me.
Here, here.
So excited. Thank you so much, Arlene. Okay. And so then the next agenda item is taking a look at the governor's executive order and then voting on the answers for that order. Connor, would you like to bring that up and so we can discuss that?
Sure. So, very briefly, I think, after last week, we got those kind of last set of input from everybody. Yesterday, I sent out the finalized document. The only changes will be very, very minor typographical changes. Essentially, the answers are what they are right now. And, the meeting, the bi-weekly meeting that happened last week, I sent around a very brief update, but so the public knows, the Rochester Police Department has submitted a number of answers to the working group already, as has the Race Commission. They have not submitted all of their answers. The answers will be coming in, being constantly updated in the coming weeks. And so that is part of the reason why our initial answers are draft answers. They are, just an initial set of responses. If you, read over the executive summary, it is, just saying that this is our first set of impressions, our first set of answers, and we're looking for feedback from, the working group, other working group members on this. So yeah, so that's, there were lots, there was a list of updates in that last email so that everyone could just be on the same page. But outside of that, Chair Wilson informed the working group about our plans to vote tonight to submit our answers to the working group, as well as our plans to vote on whether or not to release the answers to the entire public as well for comment. And as you'll note in the current draft, in that executive summary, it's written as if it's being released to the public, and it gives there's a deadline on when people could submit comments and feedback, both members of the working group and members of the public. And so that's kind of the summary of where we're at. I hope everyone's had a chance to reread through this latest draft. Happy to explain any questions or any last concerns about the latest document.
Thank you, Connor. Does anybody have any questions or any comments before we take a vote? Okay, so then I'm going to make a motion to approve the answers that we are going to submit for the governor's order, executive order. Can I have a second, please? Matthew and Danielle, okay? So all in favor of approving the answers to be submitted for the governor's executive order, please raise your hand. Okay. Okay. All right. So those are approved.
Do we want to do abstentions and?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Bob though. I'm just like, that's why I put a question mark under that approved, because I'm like, unapproved? Because I just wasn't sure if he had approved it or not, if he was abstaining. So that was going to be,
Shawnee, I really got tied up with some stuff and hadn't had a chance to really look at it this week. So should be an abstention.
okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So then that is, and then we have an absence, which is Reverend Harvey. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I also am going to vote. So 6. Okay.
Do we,
Oh, motion. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to count if there were any nays or any other abstentions.
No, there are. So there's only one abstention, which is Dr. Harrison. And then there's one absence, which is Reverend Harvey.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Arlene, I know, okay. Honestly, Arlene, can you please do me a favor? Can you let us know your title, please? Would you like us to call you? How would you like us to address you besides Board Member Brown? Is there another way you'd like to be addressed?
Arlene,
Arlene?
I know what is protocol. Just call me by my name.
Look,
I'm no big deal. I'm not as,
okay.
no, I'm fine. And I did read it over, but I'll abstain for right now until I find out exactly everything that's going on,
Okay.
if
So-
that's okay with you all.
6, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's 6. So with 2 abstentions and 1 absence. Okay, so motion's approved.
Great. And then I suppose we should just also formally vote on whether or not to submit those answers to the public, just to make sure that everyone's all right with doing that as well. Because I know we had some discussion about that during the last meeting about whether or not we do that.
Does anybody have any thoughts on whether or not these answers should be submitted to the public? Yes, or any reasons why they should not be submitted to the public, I guess?
I'd be in favor of it.
You'd be in favor of submitting it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So motion on the floor to submit the or to make these answers available to the public. Looking for a second. Got one from Danielle.
I'm sorry, Shawnee, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Connor, is there any way that this material could be identified by peculiar language usage or anything?
I'm sorry, Bob. Can you explain a little further on that?
Can someone else reading these answers identify any of the people giving the answer?
Oh, so are you talking about the answers from the board or the community testimonials?
The community testimonials.
Wow. So
Is that what we're talking about?
no, we're talking about, well, so let me clarify. So the answers that we wrote, are answers to the 13 questions that the mayor asked the working group. As part of that initial, providing initial set of answers, we collected community testimonials. Right now, those community testimonials are in an appendix to our answers, and they will be released along with our answers. Those community testimonials, when we asked people for them, we asked people to either use their full name or to use a first name and a last initial. A number of people, I'd say about a third to a half, decided to use their first name and last initial. Most of the other people decided to use their full names. If the board wishes to, submit as is, that makes a lot of sense. If the board, believes, people, all names should be first name and last initial, I understand that too, if that's a concern. But, on the email that solicited the answers, as well as the form in which people submitted answers, it was made clear that these answers would be submitted both to the working group and to the public if necessary. So people were notified.
But it is possible to identify someone actually from their first name. I mean,
Yes,
there's only one guy in town named Boogaloo.
Is he
yes,
electric?
that's right. That's right, Paul.
Okay. So Bob, would you feel like, is there anything else you'd like to have done before we start to vote, or before I call the motion forward, or?
I'd just like some discussion on whether those answers should be redacted in a way to ensure the lack of identification.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, folks?
If we don't, Bob, I just have a follow-up question. You say the answers be redacted, or would you like the names redacted?
The identifying information.
Identifying it, okay.
Yeah, for me, if that is a possibility, then I, would be in favor of that as well.
I also would be in favor of that.
Me too.
Okay.
Any other responses from the group?
Connor, this is more work for you.
It's fine. I want to make sure we do this right. So my only question is should we redact for the purpose of submitting to the work, just for everywhere, submitting it to the working group, submitting to the public, we should redact. Is that right?
I would say redact for all.
Okay. And to make sure I know here, because here's the only thing I'll say about this is that, when let me just get, let me get the form up here, because I just want to make sure people know. When just so that people can see what was asked of people when they were submitting.
Make it bigger, please.
Oh, yeah, of course. Here we go. So this is what, in addition to the actual email people received, this is what people were told and read when they submitted the answers. And this is kind of the key. Oh, whoops. This is the key thing
I
right
see
there.
what you're getting at.
Yeah. So and then here's where they're asked, write your full name, or if you wish to remain anonymous, your first name and last initial. And so, we had some people who reached out and said, I want to testify, but if my identity is going to be public, then I'm not going to fill it out. And we said, that's fine. Just, don't fill it out because, it will be public. Now, just because that was the process where, the people were kind of informed about that, that doesn't mean that we have to, release the information that way. We can redact. But I will say is just, the public testimonials, it may be more difficult for people to read if, a lot of the identifying information is gone. So for example, let me pull up one of the testimonials, and I won't read anything that would be publicly identifiable information from it. But let me just pull it up here so I can give you an example of this. Some people wrote very extensive answers that were about, their personal experiences with the police. And, redacting their answers would mostly mean redacting the entirety of their community testimonial. So, we would essentially not be submitting that information to either the working group or the public. So some testimonials just would be mostly black ink.
So question, do we know how the other groups will be releasing their information? Will it be the same way, or we don't know?
So we don't know. We don't know how they will be releasing if they will be releasing their answers and information, or how.
Throw that first paragraph up again, Connor.
Sure. Give me 1 second here.
So Connor, for future thinking too, I don't think that a first name and last initial is anonymous.
Right.
So I think that part of this is our fault.
Yep.
in the sense that we didn't think that through clearly.
Yeah.
So I think that there are different ways to make things anonymous that we can think of in the future. But I'm also concerned, but it seems to me that the people who filled out the form, I mean, we can redact the names. I'm not quite understanding why we need to redact the actual testimony since they knew that this would be public.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Agree
Also,
with that.
looking at that first paragraph, you're pretty explicit.
Yeah. Yeah. I you know, I think here I can pull up the emails too, but the emails, you know, ask for people to submit public testimony so that the community would better understand individual views from people.
Yeah, I think I jumped too soon. What do you think, Shani?
Well, honestly, I want people's voices to be heard. I think that I agree with you. I think the paragraph is pretty clear. If there's going to be an issue where we can't use a testimony because of, something that I think that was pretty clear in its explanation, then I agree with you, Dr. Harrison, that we should still continue to use the name. I guess my question would be, though, could we just use initials instead of the first name? Will that matter at all? I don't know if it would.
I guess the only issue, if multiple people have the same initials, we would run into a problem with being able to know, who said what. So that's the only challenge I can see there.
Gotcha.
But certainly in you all's waiting rooms, when you're seeing patients, the practice, which I actually hate, is to use the first name.
Mm. Yes, it's true.
Excuse me, I did read over some of the testimonials, and their first question that they answered, they identified themselves pretty clearly as to where they were coming from, what organization, what something personal about themselves. So if they put their name in, they know what the paragraph said, they put their whole name in, and they gave some additional information about themselves, knowing that it was going to be public. So if you're going to take out the name, then you would have to also alter I'm a member of the ABC Club, or I do this, or I volunteer here.
So, folks, for the sake of time,
I withdraw my objection.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask for the motion. Thank you, Dr. Harrison. So the motion stands as, I'm going to say, motion to approve the answers for the governor's executive order with no changes. That includes the community testimonials as well. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So I'll approve. If everybody approves, can you please raise your hand? Okay. Oh, I see Bob, you see your hand. Thanks. Okay, Danielle. All right, Danielle, do you approve as well, or what's your?
I approve.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, so that is 6, 7 with 2 abstentions and then 1 absence.
Mm-hmm.
2 abstentions. Okay, so then the next order of business is to, we're actually right on time. So we're going to now, actually ahead of time, I'm going to call for an executive session to discuss the specific candidates for council. So our council that we're looking for. So can I get a second, please? Hello, thank you. Okay. All right. So unless there's any issues, all in favor of moving into executive session to discuss the specific candidates for the independent council. Okay. All right. And
Aye.
all right, thank you. Okay. And And we have two abstentions, or no, we have one abstention and we have one absence. Excuse me, one abstention. Okay, we're going to go into executive session.